Good afternoon. It's our pleasure to be here as a guest, first-time guest at COAR. And we are quite new in the on the topic repository. And we started in February, or more or less in January. We started with the topic and we said NADRE, National Academic Digital Repository of Ethiopia, that we have a synonym for that what we are doing, and this makes it much easier to communicate with the ministries and also with the Europeans. In brief, we have the outline, the university landscape in Ethiopia. Bihailo, my colleague from the Education Strategy Center, will provide a brief insight, and then I will present the topics, what we have covered so far and what is the intention, what we want to do in the next time in Ethiopia.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Margaret, and good afternoon, all of you. I'm very much happy to represent Ethiopia and present you here what is our university's landscape. There are 5 basic rationales that Ethiopia requires to have a repository, and the first one is the expansions of university. As you have seen here, we have two full-fledged universities in 2002, and now we have even more than 45 public universities. And what happened there then? Why we require to have a repository? We have, in Ethiopia, we divided universities categorized into generations, and we have 4 kinds of generations. And the first generations are, we call them old universities, and they have experts, emeritus professors, doctors, and other stuff. And the second generation, we call them, they are established in 12 years ago, and they are 30 in number. And the third university categories, they are established in 2012. They are 11 in number, and there are 11 universities which have been established last year. So we have such kind of universities, assume. What is the problem then to have such kind of universities? You know, most of the second generation and after that, most of the university staffs are graduate assistants. Last year, student become, next year he become instructor of that university or college. So what is the problem? We have one very good opportunity, that is, we have harmonized curriculum. They call it, I call it homogenized curriculum, similar curriculum across all universities. So in the first generation universities, we have professors, doctors, who have very good course materials, who have their own textbooks, and also there are graduate assistants. So if we have this such kind of initiatives, then they can easily get a course material and other stuff, even from the experienced one. This is one of the reasons why we need to have a repository. And the second reason is, especially in second generation universities, we have, most of them launched master's program. And what is the problem with that master's program? Most of the papers are plagiarized. I'm a copy of this university. So, for example, a person who graduated around this university will send to this university, the guy who's a friend of him around this university, then they can copy it. That is the second issue. Very serious issue in our country. That's why we need to have a repository. And the third reason is there are projects which has been done by many of the staffs. If you go to, for example, Addis Ababa University, they have one project, and Redwa University, one project, same project. But because they don't know each other, because they don't communicate each other. So we have only one government, but we have many investments in different parts of the country, which has been done by a single university. This is the third reason. And the fourth reason is the country wants to have our own national journal. So to have a national journal, we require still to have a repository. And the other thing is visibility issue, also a problem. So this all requires us to have a repository and to be even to know about COAR and to work with you. And I don't want to take much time. Let me leave to Dr. Margaret.
Thank you very much, Bihailo. Now you got a bit background why it is that important and why it is that high on the agenda even in the ministry, and we got a lot of support to come up with the repository. I call it jump on the bandwagon. We had a conference in February, and it was opened by the State Minister for Higher Education. And I have used his speech, and I brought out some key words. What he sees is the same as Behailo has mentioned. Many universities with the same needs, budget is limited, and we cannot come up with the tradition all universities have, traditional universities have. We have no academic tradition, almost no. 2 universities with some academic tradition, but we don't have it. Therefore, it's much easier for us to focus on the digital way, digital libraries, repositories, and to leapfrog. We leave all the library aside because we will not bring the people or the students or the researchers to the level that they work with books. Let's jump into the digital era. We have the state-of-the-art infrastructure. The government has invested a lot of money that the main universities, 36 universities, are within the research and education network. We have now, as a landlocked country, we have now our own sea cable, our access to the sea cables through Djibouti. Everything has been done, and it will become operative, I think, in the next months. But here we are at the level from, I think, modern countries, modern universities, where we could then start competing. Now, the job is, or our job from the Education Strategy Center is to capacitate the researchers and the librarians. I will then talk more about that. We also face quite a discussion about open science, because open science is not on the agenda. On the agenda is open access. And if I do a publication on open science, all them this will be corrected. We don't talk about open science, we talk about open access. But at the end, it's more or less the same. This is policy, this is diplomacy. We talk about the same at the end. Then our work is somehow separated. We have the policy framework, which should come then from the Ethiopian Academy of Sciences. And from our side, the Education Strategy Center is part of the ministry. And we start bottom up. We try to make researchers ready. We try to make librarians ready once the policy framework is in place that we can jump in. Then we also started with the digital literacy of researchers and lecturers and librarians. We have started with carpentries. We are running data carpentries, software carpentries, and library carpentries. We have now also the discussion about NADRE, and NADRE should be the centerpiece of universities, or should incorporate all that we can come from the institutional libraries, repositories, institutional repositories, to the NADRE, and all is with the library. That means the libraries get quite a push as a central service at the campus, and we don't focus anymore too much on faculties, because we know if we work too much with the faculties, it sticks with the faculties and we cannot reach out to all the campus. And as Behailo mentioned, we have 4 generations of universities, and with this generation system also privileges are separated, but with the NADRE now, everyone should have the same access to information. That means it doesn't matter if a young researcher is in a 4th generation university, they should have the same access to resources as those from the old ones. Now, jumping to the carpentry, As mentioned, we have done data carpentry, software carpentry, and library carpentry, and we trained 300 young researchers already. We started with the first carpentry last year, August. Now in June, we have the first Train the Trainer workshop, where director from carpentries will come, and we hope then we have 30 Ethiopian trainers more, and different universities that they can then run carpentries autonomously. And we will then try to find new position in the way that we withdraw from the training as such, and much more in the supervision and monitoring and evaluation of the trainings of digital literacy. Yeah, a lot has been said already. What I want to highlight is also R coding is very important for us, and I think in all the universities worldwide, gender is also an issue. We have introduced R Ladies. We have R Ladies Addis Ababa. It's also on the website. And we have set up Our Ladies sister organizations on campuses where we have done carpentries. Of course, this will also grow. We are much at the beginning, but we try to do quite something on that. And now also very prominent on our agenda is the computer driving license. Because we can have NADRE, we can work on digital literacy, but if the minimum knowledge about computers, about the software packages is not available, then it doesn't help us. Therefore, this is a project also discussed with GIZ, the German International Cooperation, which supports us very much. Otherwise, we could not do all that. And we start then from class 8, 8th grade, to university. And once they start university, they should have accomplished the basic computer driving license, the intermediate and the advanced. And then once they are at the university, they can start with the coding, what is necessary. Then what we have done so far in NADRE by itself, as mentioned, we have library carpentry workshops. We run 2 before we had the workshop on ORCID and DOI. This was the pre-conference workshop for NADRE, and then we will have a data management plan workshop in August, and we will have then what should have been accomplished by end of June, the technical workshops at cluster universities that library staff knows how to work with NADRE. And as you can imagine, we have not done or achieved this by ourselves. We had and we still have quite a lot of support from Dr. Paolo Budroni from Vienna. He came to Ethiopia and he brought really a huge push forward. Then Professor Roberto Barbera, he has done the SciGaia project, it's a Horizon 2020 project. That means he's a mentor for quite a lot of topics for us and also brought us quite a push forward. And then, of course, the Academy of Science South Africa, the team, they work very closely with the Ethiopian Academy of Science, especially on publication, open journals, and all that. Okay, this is so far what we have done. Thank you very much.